morning discussed a question which I asked on Shabbos. The Mishnah tells us, Pirkei Avos, Shlosha Dvarim Olam Omeid, Ala Torah, Ala Avodah, Ala Gemilas Chasodim, the three pillars to existence, Torah, Avodah, Gemilas Chasodim, study of Torah, service Hashem, whether it's the karbonos, the sacrifices, tefillah, and Gemilas Chesed. And yet, for many sources, Mishnah quotes a pasuk in the Dorim, Im lo brisi yom v'loila chulka shmayim v'ortzel samti. If my bris would not be in effect continuously, day and night, existence wouldn't exist. In Rechaim Volozhna, in Nefesh HaChaim, in Shar Dalid, the Chofetz Chaim, cites the Zohar, that if there'd be a moment in existence where Torah would not be studied, the world will revert back to pre-existence. Because the Torah tells us, Chazal tell us, based on the first pasuk, Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim es haaretz, Bishvil Torah shenikras Bereshis. The world was only created because of Torah Bereshis. So what actually generates all the energy for the world? Only because it's that Torah should be studied. But if Torah would not be studied, even for one moment, the world would revert back to pre-existence. But yet, it seems from Mishnah and Pirkei Avos that they're all as important as one another. Shloshim Dvarim Olam Omeid, Torah, Avodah, Gemilas Chasodim. Each one is as important as the other, but yet we're saying not this way. That it's so vital that Torah, in its own right, is able to maintain existence, even if there is no Avodah and there's no Gemilas Chasodim. So how do we reconcile the two of them? Firstly, it's obvious the Mishnah and Pirkei Avos cannot mean they're all on par, because we say Talmud Torah keneged kulam, that the study of Torah is the equivalent of all the mitzvahs combined, and the Chofetz Chaim cites the Vilna Gaon, who writes that every word of Torah is keneged kulam. It's not only you study a concept or a subject matter, but every word of that subject matter you study is keneged kulam. So you study 1,000 words, it's 1,000 times tayyag keneged kulam. That's the value of Torah. So right away we'd say, Shlosh Dvarim Olam Omeid. They all interplay in terms of supporting, upholding the world, but nothing's comparable to Torah itself. But nevertheless, it seems to be that you need the other two. It can't stand on its own, but yet it can stand on its own. So I was thinking, there's a famous Chazal which is cited in Eicha Rabosi, mentioned Eicha. We read in Eicha, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu bring about the Churban? A'ozum es Torosi, because they abandoned my Torah. So the Medrash tells us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Halavai osi ozavu v'torosu shamoru. I wish they would have all abandoned me to be idolaters, whatever you are. But Torosi lo zovu. But you shouldn't abandon my Torah. Why? Shemor shebo amas l'mutav. There's a certain enlightenment in Torah, which ultimately that will bring you back to a good standing. It has the ability to bring you back, fully bring you back. So if the Jews would have been committed to the study of Torah, they would have abandoned it, they would have come back. But because they abandoned it, therefore I destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. Our relationship was terminated during that period of time. So if we say that Torah is mazil mutav, that Torah brings back to the good path, because it's Moshe of Mazal Mutav, there's a certain enlightenment in Torah which gives the person that sense ultimately how to come back. So if that's the case, Torah itself is avoda, Torah itself is what is Gemilas Chasodim. It's both. So when you study Torah factually, you're touching upon the underpinnings of avoda and the underpinning of Gemilas Chesed simultaneously, because they're all interconnected. Because Torah itself ultimately has relevance to each one of these, because you see, it has the ability to bring you back to Avodah, Gemilas Chesed, to the whole Torah in entirety. The Rambam rules in Hilchos Talmud Torah, based on the Gemara Kedushin, Godla Talmud Talmud Mevin B'Maseh. Great is the study of Torah, because it brings to the actualization of mitzvos. That's why Torah is great. So Rambam says, Godla Talmud Shemevin B'Maseh. V'eina Maseh Mevin B'Talmud. Mean when you study study brings to the actualization. Doing the mitzvah, whether it's tefillin, stuck, or whatever it is, it's not going to bring you to Torah. It doesn't work the other way. So we see it, the same thing. Torah itself, which is the all-encompassing, it's the keneged kulam. It touches upon every mitzvah. And the reason why it's keneged kulam is because every mitzvah is included in Torah because that is part of the Mor Sheba. That is the illumination of Torah, which ultimately brings you to every aspect and every corner of Torah. Nothing was not touched. However, if we do a mitzvah, the mitzvah is limited to the mitzvah and does not bring you to the other aspects and areas of Torah.